Hey y'all! Today I want to talk about a few bad apples. I have a second career that I am working on as of late, and I love it because it combines my worlds, it combines my past knowledge and experiences, and it's advancing me in ways that I've always wanted to go. One thing that this new career requires is studying. I love studying, I love learning, and a lot of what I'm in right now is the psychology behind things. And I came across this experiment that researchers called one bad apple. What they did was they took one negative person and they put them in with groups of people who were typically positive in a work environment. And it was just short increments of time, like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And you know what happened? That one bad apple happened. That one piece of negativity happened, and it changed the course of everything. It affected the positive people's moods. It influenced them to become more negative themselves. It impacted the work that was being done. It impacted every area of their lives. Just a short little span of time. And that one bad apple, that little burst of negativity, affected everyone around. That's real. I've been saying this for quite some time now, that I think that one of the most dangerous energies in this entire world are the people who believe they're good people. They believe they are the majority. And it's kind of scary because in a lot of environments, they are. And they don't see anything wrong with how they're living and what they're doing to others. Most of them don't even really understand the impact that they have on others. I also know this because I used to be that bad apple. Not always, but definitely in a lot of situations where looking back, if I had known what I know now, I wouldn't have done or behaved or reacted the way that I did. I understand how my negativity and my emotional outbursts impacted others. And I also understand that just because I have healed in these areas does not mean that others that I have impacted in those times have let it go. I know that I caused others hurt while I was learning, which is why I work so hard now to flip the script and to talk about my experience and what I have learned and what I do differently, so that not only can others see there's another way of being, but it hopefully also sticks with people that have felt that negative energy from me or have felt hurt by me, and they understand that's not who I am anymore. And I never wanted to harm or hurt them. I want nothing but good things for everyone. I hope that if somebody who thinks of me and thinks of me negatively, and they see all that I do now, I hope that they can find it within to let it go. Not for me. It doesn't affect me like that any longer. But I know because I used to hold on to the hurt that other people had done to me. I used it as a cheat sheet of learning how others saw me. And a lot of times it wasn't accurate, but I was moving like everyone felt that way about me. And if I ever made anyone feel negative about themselves, I want them to know that was just an emotional moment. That was just me learning, and I do not hold or harbor any ill will towards anyone. I do not think bad of anyone in this world. And I genuinely want every single person that I have ever come in contact with, and those that I haven't, to win, to succeed, to do well, to find this inner peace. One bad apple can do a lot of damage, and I've seen it. I've gone to work and been in a bad mood, and I just everywhere. And everyone felt that way. Everyone started seeing the injustices in their jobs. Everyone started seeing where things weren't fair or good. But the thing is, all we did was talked about it to each other, not to anyone that could make any difference. And then by the time we got to the point where we just weren't taking anymore, we were just blowing up, leaving whatever we needed to do. We weren't using our voices in a non-emotional, progressive way. We were just bitching and complaining and being bad apples. There's a certain energy shift that I don't even know if I have the words for it. When someone is just being negative or being unfair or rude or hurtful or anything, if they're taking advantage of you, anything, and you sit down calmly, no emotions, because you know you are not stuck here. There are other options. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to give in to what these outrageous demands are. You do not have to let people treat you this way, no matter what. And when you sit down with somebody calmly, and I'm going to use this as an example just because if you've read my first book, The Accident, How to Shake the Shit Out of Your Life, you know I have been through it in the job world. I'm so blessed that I'm not feeling that any longer because I've learned the lessons and I apply them to my life. But previously, I used to have bosses that just ran me ragged. And guess what? I allowed them to. I have let so many bosses overwork me to the point of sheer exhaustion where I am spent mentally, emotionally, physically, everything. And then I wasn't compensated. I wasn't celebrated. I wasn't anything for my efforts. And in fact, it felt like I would get more attitude and more demands when I was already breaking. And it made me feel like a victim, big time. I was a victim to my circumstances. I was a victim to these people. I was a victim everywhere in my life. I was never going to get ahead. Life was so hard. I didn't understand it, and it was draining. But once I started making people understand in a way that wasn't emotional. So when I was scheduled, let's say I was scheduled from 8 to 3, and it's 3 o'clock, and they're demanding I stay later, and they're demanding that I work all night, and they're demanding that I do these tasks that they just put on my plate last second. Instead of just doing it and complaining to others, I should have said, oh, so you are wanting me to work overtime last second. I'm going to need X amount of compensation in order to do that. And I'm going to need you to type that up. We'll both sign it, and I will stay today for overtime. That's no problem. I don't have anything going on, but I will be properly compensated, and this will be documented that you asked me to do this at 3:10 p.m. when I was already supposed to be off 10 minutes ago, and you're going to compensate me more than normal because of the last minute response. My time is valuable. Oh, you don't want to do that? You don't want to pay me? You don't want to have it noted? You don't want any accountability for the way you're treating me right now? Interesting. Why do you think that is? Why do you think it's okay for you to ask me to stay? And it's okay for you to make these demands, but it's not okay for you to take accountability for them. That's interesting. Do you do this to other people besides me in your life? That's interesting. Do people do this to you? Have you seen this a lot? I have questions now. I want to know things. And when you make people actually answer these real questions without fear of what will happen, of fear of the unknown, of fear of being out of line, you make people think about their actions for real. And most of the time, they just try to drop it, and you don't see them asking you for anything anymore. But you're also not losing your job. You're not getting docked your pay. You're not any of it. I have learned from some very important people in my life that the less you respect yourself, the less others will respect you as well. When we hold our tongue because we don't want to seem a certain way, or we don't want to rock the boat, or we don't want XYZ to happen, we're holding back our true self. We are making ourselves smaller for those around us. And instead of the outcome that we're looking for, which is peace, we are creating havoc. Now we are creating a dynamic that says, I don't deserve respect. I don't deserve consideration. I don't deserve to be treated any better than this. We set that. People can say all they want, but we don't have to respond to that. We could say, oh no, that doesn't work for me. I'm out. You should have talked to me this morning. And even then, I already had plans. I would have told you this morning I was leaving at 3 when I'm off. Nobody can make you do anything that you do not want to do. Nobody can make you change your whole life just because all of a sudden they need you. 90% of us don't have things that are life or death. Now, I understand if you are in a life or death situation, but that's also different. Your life revolves around your dynamic at work and your ability to just roll with it as it comes, okay? That is life or death. That is important things. But that is a very small category. And most of us are doing this in jobs that are not serious. I worked for a company that cleaned windows, and that was where I learned this. It was power washing and window cleaning. And I would have customers call in a sheer panic saying it was a dire emergency that their windows were cleaned today by 3 o'clock. No. It isn't, because if it was an emergency, you would have booked this appointment a long time ago. It is not my fault. You did not think about this, and now that your mother-in-law is coming in, you're in a panic. No. People have big emotions. I also know this because I used to be a very, very emotionally driven human. Literally every move I made was from emotions. And it wasn't until a friend of mine, while I was in a fight with a partner of mine, and I called her and she said to me, Why are you choosing this? And I got so emotional about that because I didn't feel like I was choosing it. I felt like he was making me choose it. He wasn't. I was responsible for my reactions. I was choosing it. And ever since she said that, every time I would feel those emotions start to swell in my chest and my mouth wanted to, I just went, I need some space. I need a minute. I need to get it together. I want to react emotionally, but I don't really want that. I'm trying to reroute this. I would take my space. I would write. I would yoga. I would run. I would go to the gym. I would do whatever I needed to do to get that energy out of my body in a healthy way. And then I would understand what it was I was feeling. And 99.9% of the time, all my partner at the time was doing was triggering old wounds. Granted, he wasn't being great in the moment. I'm not like letting him off the hook and saying he was being amazing and I was just overreacting. No, he was being a real you-know-what, and I was not having it. But even the biggest you-know-what does not deserve a mean reaction or an emotional reaction. That gets us nowhere. Do you know what? When somebody is being heated and emotional and mean or rude or whatever they are being, or you feel they are being, when you are emotional back, now you're in an emotional war. Now you are both throwing them everywhere. Nobody is being clear. Nobody is making sense any longer. Nobody is peaceful. It gets us nowhere. But we did that time and time and time again until my friend said, "Why are you choosing this?" Which was even more funny because she used my own words against me from an argument that she had been in with a partner. And it was like a double whammy knowing that I had done the same thing to her in this moment. And she was giving it back to me. And I was wanting to fight her. It was like I was wanting to fight myself, okay? I had to take a breath. I had to calm down. And once I did that, once I started learning to keep my mouth shut, and instead of putting my focus on him and what I didn't like about what he was doing and what I wanted him to change and what I wanted him to do different, I started focusing on what I needed to do different. I didn't want to be a bad apple. I really wanted to be the sun all the time. The one that comes in and makes the situation better. The one that comes in and says, "Hey, bad apple, do you need to go work by yourself for a minute? Sounds like you're having a real tough time working as a team. It's okay, you can go take a breath and come back, but we're not going to have that type of energy here right now. We're trying to get things done." Instead of changing the vibe, instead of asking questions to find out why are you being a bad apple, instead of removing us from the situation, anything else, I just chose to become a bad apple as well and fight back in ways that weren't progressive. But every time I went and started thinking about myself, how my body felt, what was working, what was calming me, what was making me less reactive, what was making me more peaceful despite what was going on around me, then I could see him more clearly too. I'm not saying that it fixes everything, because a lot of times you're going to find the other person isn't moving with you. And a lot of times you've come to a crossroad where you both need space from each other, or you need a new job, you need to go somewhere else, something else is waiting for you. And this isn't designed to get better, it's designed to get worse, because it's a place where you are supposed to move from, not settle in. And when we are resisting the change and we are trying to control the situation to stay the same, all these pieces start to fall out of alignment, because life is saying you can't stay here anymore. Not like this. It challenges you. It wants to change you, evolve you, wants to move you to better fits. It wants to do all of these things that we can't know until we've done them, until we've made the moves, until we have changed internally to align with the new version of ourselves that we need to be. I almost went home. I almost called my journey on the road quits. It got really isolating and really lonely, and I couldn't get out of my thoughts about how much I missed my people back home. How much I just wanted to go hang out with my favorite people. And I started feeling a lot of weight on my shoulders, and I was really uncomfortable. And I didn't see how anything was going to work out. I told a few people I'm coming home, I'm done, I want to be there, I just need to come home. And everyone was supportive and everyone was great. And then my mom said, as much as I want you to come home, I don't know if that's the answer. And she told me to just wait it out just a little bit. And a few days went by, and then she started overthinking, and she was like, you know what, maybe you should come home. Maybe, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you feel like you shouldn't. If you want to come home, come home. But my mom has always been so great at growing me in hard situations where I just don't feel like I'm going to make it. And she's so good at just, in those moments, just getting me to just sit still for a minute in the discomfort and not make an emotional decision. And granted, she's been working with me for a lifetime, okay? This was no easy feat. I have always been impulsive and just jumped into things, and my dad has always said that as well, how I just need to learn to take a breath. So that's what I did. I took a breath, I took a beat, and I waited a few days, and I started thinking, what are some things that I can do that are totally different than anything I've ever done? And I made my LinkedIn, and I updated my online resume, and I didn't know why, because I didn't want to leave this job, and I was like, I don't know why I'm doing this, but it feels like the right move. And I updated it, and I decided to stop looking at jobs I don't want, like bartending. I don't want anything to do with the bar scene. There's a little bug flying around. I'm trying to get him. I didn't want anything to do with the bar scene at all. It was over. It was done. It was dead to me. But every time things got rough, here I was looking for another bar job that I don't want. And it felt gross in my soul. It felt awful. I didn't want it. I wanted anything but that. So I started applying for jobs that made sense. Writing jobs, podcasting gigs. But none of those really felt right either. And so I made a decision. I updated it. I'm going to send it out. If something's meant for me, it will find me. And that was when I got an email asking if I wanted to do an interview at Crunch Fitness, a new gym in town. And it's a franchise, but it's the first one that's like here. And they were just opening, and I would be a personal trainer. I've wanted to be a personal trainer for as long as I've wanted to do public speaking, and I was looking into both options over 10 years ago. It's so funny because I'm doing all the things like 10 years plus later that I've been working towards and dreaming on so hard, and it's just incredible. But I sat down and I did that interview, and I was so honest. I was so myself, and it just felt right. It felt so good in my whole body. Like I just knew that this was it. And I was supposed to hear by Friday, and I didn't hear by Friday. And I knew right away that it was a test. And would I overthink? Would I talk myself out of it? Would I just let it go? Or would I remain consistent in my faith? So that's what I did. And then when I didn't hear anything by Monday, I just reached out. And I told him, how much I appreciated the interview, how much I really, it felt good, and I was really excited about the opportunity, and I just wanted to know if I was still being considered or, if I should be looking elsewhere. And he communicated with me that they were having some technical IT issues, and he swore he would be back to me by the end of the week, and he was. And I got the job, and it was one of the coolest things ever because I wasn't alone in knowing that I wasn't exactly the perfect candidate, but at the same time I was. And it was like he just saw me for me all the way through. And he knew exactly where it was going to be tough, where we were going to excel, where it was going to work, where I would need to just have faith and work a little harder, or speak up and, communicate what I needed. And I've never had that before. And I've never had someone see me so clearly without knowing me at all. And ever since I got out here, it's like I've been seeing that more and more and more. And that must mean that my energy is understanding that more and more and more, and I am putting that out into the world. So they gave me every opportunity I needed to get the certificate, which is what I've been studying like crazy mad. That's where all my time is going, is just getting the certification and doing continuing ed classes and refreshing my yoga skills and bringing in new classes that I'm going to be teaching. And I have so much that I am learning, and my brain just feels like it's alive and lit, and everything at the park I'm working at is going so well, and the community is so beautiful, and it's like a lifetime of struggling has now come to fruition into this beautiful, beautiful place in my life. And all of these opportunities, this knowledge, these incredible people, all of the stuff is coming together, and people from home fit into this life, people here fit, people I don't know yet. Like, it's just my present and my future have never been so in sync and so well aligned. And all of this is because I started looking at the one bad apple, what it was I did not like, the things that triggered me about those bad apples, the things that made me reactive, the things that made me negative too, the things that turned me into a bad apple too. And I said, no more. You're stronger than this. You're going to be more than this. You're more capable than you know. And I leaned all in on me. I had full faith in myself. and my peace. And my peaceful, calm self is my very best version. And I find myself now no longer saying things like, well, or thinking, when this comes together, when I'm a little bit better, when I'm a little more advanced. Now I'm all in, understanding I'm always learning, I'm always applying, I'm always getting better because I'm finding more of myself. I'm finding more things that make me feel alive, more free, more energized. I'm learning and acquiring so many new skills, and I'm learning them so deeply that I can teach them, that I can share them, that I can show others a way to get to this place for themselves. It won't look just like mine, but mine will help you get to yours, and yours will help somebody else get to theirs. It's time that we stop being bad apples and we start making bad apples be responsible for their bad appleness, their negativity. It's time that we start kindly, compassionately, respectfully removing ourselves, asking questions, teaching whatever feels appropriate in the moment, in your calm moment. Sometimes it's simply just an understanding what's happening and understanding this cannot affect you. If you take it on, if you find yourself going home and thinking about it all night long, if you find yourself saying, stop thinking about it, stop thinking about it, stop thinking about it, and you're just pushing it down into your body, and you feel sick or jittery or tired or sore or nervous or anything, you are taking it on. You are not remaining peaceful. So right there, you're not meant to teach or change the bad apple. You're meant to apply to self. That is a lesson for you to learn peace. And if you can learn it there, you can apply it anywhere. Change your whole life. Change your thoughts. Dive in deeply to yourself and your journey. You deserve it. I promise. It doesn't matter who you've been or where you've been. We are all deserving of greatness, of good things. We're all capable. It's just how you handle life. Stress, negativity. It's how you handle positives. It's how you handle yourself. How well do you care for you? Reflect on it. See what you find. Thanks for watching.